Alright, hey everybody. I wanted to make a video on my Sig Sauer P6. Due to popular request, demand, whatever you want to call it. Because, I'm in a few gun groups on Facebook, and there are some dudes out there who, kind of like the wide range of stuff that I have, and I really like this pistol a lot, so I figured, why not indulge them a little bit. It's definitely not a pistol you see every day, that's for sure, and we'll get into that why. So, like always, let's start with what I'm drinking today. So this is New Belgium Voodoo Ranger IPA. It's not too bad. I see it marketed all the time in the store. It's like, they got big displays and everything, and they got a huge marketing drive behind this. New Belgium is also, I think, the same folks that are behind Fat Tire. So if you've ever had Fat Tire before, which is pretty good, they make pretty good stuff, especially the Abbey ales. Those are pretty nice. I'm not really a huge IPA guy, but this IPA is actually pretty decent. So if you're looking for a nice IPA that doesn't make your mouth taste like soap, that one is pretty good. So let's get into it. So this P6 is based off of the P225. The main differences, as you can tell, is the enlarged trigger guard up here and the squared off trigger guard, right? So regular 225s that you find, either the new or the old ones, will not have this squared off trigger guard. That's one of the biggest defining features. The other defining feature is this hammer back here. If you see, it's got a little hook on the back of it. Now, there's been a whole lot of debate about why this hook is here. Some say it was for the lanyard that goes with the holster. So if the police officer decides to draw it, it's supposed to like cut the lanyard or something like that to indicate that they had drawn their pistol in line of duty. Others say that this is supposed to be an indicator of when the officer dropped it. So if an officer dropped it on the hammer, the spur is supposed to break. I honestly don't know if any of those stories are true, because I haven't been able to find any documentation on that, and also because it seems kind of like a really niche thing to worry about. I've never really heard of any police departments needing something like that, especially one so specific as this. And also, given the time frame that this pistol was adopted, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for them to just have it on just this one gun. So I really don't know what to think of the spurred hammer or the notched hammer like that, but it is a way to identify a P6 if you run into one in the wild. Another indicator is, if you look on the slide here, this is the old style of SIG that uses the old style breech block instead of a solid one-piece stainless steel aluminum slide, which all the new SIGs made in the USA, they use a one-piece stainless steel aluminum slide and not a breech block like this. Now, personally, I found that all my experiences with all the SIGs that have the breech block style tend to shoot a little bit better for me, and I genuinely feel like they are a little bit better quality than the SigUSA ones, but that's just been my personal experience. Yours may vary. What else on this pistol? So these are not original service grips. I actually replaced these with these are aftermarket wood grips, but these are absolutely fantastic. Like this is probably the most comfiest feeling, well, other than my Walther P5, comfiest feeling wood gripped, single stack 9 that I own. It is just absolutely phenomenal. Total joy to shoot. You have really good control over this. It just fits perfectly. Love these grips, totally worth the money I paid for them. But the original service grips on these was a black checkered plastic, the usual kind that you'd expect on pretty much any service pistol today. Nothing fancy there. So with this, this was an actual police gun, because all the P6s were police guns. There was no such thing as at least as far as I know, no such thing as a P6 commercial model. All of these were used in some way, shape, or form by German police in the 80s, I believe, is when they started making these. In fact, mine is marked 82, so 1982, and it still has the markings of West Germany, which is pretty cool, because it's a country that doesn't exist anymore, technically, right? So Um, So again, another thing that people like to note about P6s is that the enormously heavy double action trigger pull on these things compared to other SIGs. Now, in my experience shooting SIGs, both American and the European ones, the double action has always been super heavy for any of their pistols, police models, commercial models, whatever. They've always really been super, super heavy. And I've never really been a huge fan of the double action on these on SIG pistols, honestly. If you want a really good double action, I go with the Beretta 92 with the correct hammer spring in there. Oh man, it's smooth, very smooth. But the SIG pistols are usually pretty heavy, kind of gritty, and you can't stage them that well, in my experience, anyway. So some people say this pistol has a very, very heavy double action trigger pull. And that's definitely the case here. So I got a snap cap loaded in this. It's already been checked and everything. So, but yeah, this when I'm holding this, it's like freaking, man, that's heavy. Now the single action is pretty good actually. It's not like it's not going to be a target gun grade or anything. Got a little bit of little bit of take up there, but the brake is really nice, and the poundage you need to get over it is actually not that bad either. So just like that. So yeah, the trigger is actually pretty good for a service sidearm, which is what this was supposed to be. It was a service sidearm. It wasn't meant to be a target gun, and it definitely fits that role very, very well. Everything is what it needs to be for this gun for its intended role, and that's all I needed at the time. The Germans like to be very practical sometimes. Well, most of the time, with their weapon designs and basically everything else in their culture. So this is a very, very practical weapon. My only gripe with it is, well, actually, I have two gripes. My first gripe is the sights. These are extremely basic black notch sights, and you can definitely this style of sight was used a lot on the older SIGs, and honestly, I'm not a fan of them. There is so much air gap, light gap between the front and the rear sights that it's not like my nicer USP target sights, which even though they are a black notch like this, the spaces are filled in, so you know exactly where you need to be. With this, they're a little bit more open, and that was probably designed on purpose so you can actually still get a decent sight picture and still be able to identify your target as you're shooting. Right? This was not designed to be a target gun, as I said before, so I will not be changing the sights on this because I like to keep my guns in the original as possible configuration, and sights are a little bit harder to remove and install than say a pair of grips are. So I'm going to keep these sights. And I've tested myself shooting these at 25 yards with just regular ammo, combat load. So putting one in the chamber, full magazine, and going off double action off the first shot, drawing from the holster. And at 25 yards, I can place all shots within a torso-sized target. So it's definitely capable. It can do the job. It's not the most accurate thing that I own, not the most accurate pistol that I can shoot, but it does get the job done, which is really all you could ask for. It's all it was meant to be. So my second gripe is how this pistol was designed in relation to the barrel and the feed ramp. So at the time when these were adopted, the use of hollow point ammo was a big no-go. Police forces had to use regular FMJ ball ammo, and that's what this pistol was designed for. So I ordered a aftermarket EFK Fire Dragon barrel. You can see that right there. I ordered for this gun because this is one of the only companies that actually makes like new barrels that'll fit in a P6, not a P225A1, because that's the American model that's being made now, the modern version. It's ever so slightly different that you can't necessarily put P225A1 parts in a P6. It's just a little bit different. So in order to confirm that I have the parts that will interchange correctly and it's not the part, it'll be the gun if something messes up, I ordered from EFK and I got that barrel in after waiting a few months. Very, very high quality barrel. They do awesome work over there. Totally recommend it if you need barrels and things like that. But here's the original barrel, and the way these were cut in such a way that the feed ramps do not, the gun cannot feed flat points or hollow point projectiles reliably at all. I mean, we're talking with the original factory magazines. I would get a jam probably like every 3 to 4 shots, and it's not. You can't use that in a defensive situation. It's not what you want to do. So, with pretty much all of my pistols, I like to be able to carry them for defensive use if I needed to. So that's one of the criteria I have for basically any pistol I own, is that I have to be able to carry it in a defensive role if I need to. So knowing that you want to use hollow points basically against people, that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to expand. Using ball ammunition was not exactly something I wanted to have to carry with this if I had to carry it. So I ordered the barrel, put it in there, and tested it out today. And I would get maybe 1 jam in every 50 rounds. So it's not 100% yet. I don't know if that's just breaking this in or what, because when I got this new barrel in, dude, it was super tight fitting in here. Like, I had to, when I was putting the slide back on, I had to really rack that thing back and cycle it a couple times to really get it to break in nicely. And as far as all other ammunition in this barrel, it feeds perfectly, 100%. Never had an issue with it except for the flat points, like the 147 grain projectiles and hollow points. That's the only issues I had with these. So that's my issue with the barrel. Now, obviously, it was designed to use FMJs from the start, so I'm not going to blame it too much. But just something to note: if you do find one of these and you are intending to carry it for whatever reason, you're probably going to have to use FMJs out of it. I would not recommend using hollow points or flat nose. So, about that EFK Fire Dragon barrel, though, when this came in, I was kind of surprised, because if you look here, there's a little bit of the barrel that sticks out of the slide there, and that is not normal. The original barrel here does not stick out the front like that. But then I realized what they had done. They had actually cut a slightly recessed crown into the barrel to make it more accurate, I'm assuming. Now, I haven't really tested this for accuracy with the new barrel in it. It's kind of hard to test accuracy sometimes, especially with this gun. I don't shoot this gun very accurately, even when I'm going for groups. The best I usually get is probably 3 to 4 inches at 25 yards offhand. And I really don't even want to bench this, because I don't shoot bench pistols very well. I often do better just offhand, just standing up on my own, which is odd, but that's just me. So yeah, so let's go to shooting impressions. Shooting impressions is, it's a SIG. It works. So with these grips, like even with the regular grips, oh my gosh, dude, it just fits my hand super well. Recoil is minimal because this is an all metal frame, big old heavy slide. It's for a single stack 9mm, this is a very large and heavy gun. So even with the original springs that have been in this gun since it was made in '82, this gun just doesn't recoil that much at all. It's a whole lot of fun to shoot. It's accurate enough. The trigger's good except for the double action, which is really heavy. Very controllable. You have a lot of real estate for your hands to really get in there. However which way you want to shoot it. It shoots like a SIG. And I have to say, this actually doesn't flip anywhere near as much like muzzle flip. It doesn't flip anywhere near as much as like my buddy. He's got a 226 Tac Ops, so it has the stainless steel slide and everything. That thing is just crazy flippy. Like, the muzzle flip is out of this world, which is weird because the 226 is a bigger gun than this and it's heavier, but it's not as controllable. I don't know why. Maybe it's that high bore axis everybody likes to hit SIG on. I don't really buy too much into that myself. But yeah, this gun is just really controllable. It does what it needs to do. So would I recommend anybody getting one of these? It's kind of hard to justify a single stack 9mm that is this large. This only holds 8+1 with the regular factory magazines, and you can get 10 rounders from Pro Mag, which are kind of they're iffy on reliability. So unless you're like a big history buff like me and you like old historic firearms like this, especially like the old quality Sig Sauer, West German roll mark and everything on there. Unless you're really into that kind of stuff, there's not really a practical reason to own one of these today when you can get modern made SIGs, which are probably will serve you a lot better than this one, especially with the barrel issue I was talking about. Not that this doesn't work, it definitely works. But I believe that there are better options out there, especially if you're on a budget. This is not something you want to just go up and get, and it's provided you can find one, of course. Now, Gunbroker is probably going to have a few; they always do. But like in local stores and everything, you would be very hard pressed to find one of these nowadays. They're quite rare, at least at the making of this video. So, for me, anyways, I kind of went all out and kind of got all the special accessories and everything because I determined from this point on I really do want to collect all of the German P series pistols, so like the P1, P2, P3, P4, and so on. And so I have the P6, I had the P5, and both police guns, which is awesome. And so I went out and bought a whole bunch of the extra accessories that would have come with the gun. So I had one of the original holsters right here. Oops. And the cool thing about this is that it's actually marked P6 Bund. Probably can't see that. There we go. Using the light off the camera. P6 Bund, which I'm assuming is something German for like police or something, I guess. Because the German army now is called the Bundeswehr. So it's pretty cool to have original accessories. Like this is a nice, tough duty style leather holster, and you can take this this part right here off, and you can just wear just this holster part by itself. That's pretty cool. And I ordered a whole bunch of like mag pouches so I could put that on my belt. And I have to admit, during the winter time, because I thought it was super cool, I got my German police jacket, which actually says Polizei on the back of the jacket and has the little coat of arms for the county that it was from. I wore that out one day. It was really, really cold that day in the winter, and I was just going to the range. And here in Arizona, you can open carry, because we're free here. So I wore that, and I had P6, in the holster, just like that, on my belt, with the mag pouches, with mags ready to go, loaded and everything. And it felt pretty cool. Like, you're wearing something that a German police officer in the 80s would have worn, and I think that's pretty cool to me. I like doing that. Is it very practical? No, it's not going to be as practical as your custom Kydex, Glock, super custom Gucci Glock that you have in your inner waistband or whatever. It's not going to be as effective as that. But then again, that wasn't really the point when I put all that stuff on, right? So I just wanted to feel cool, look cool, just do it, right? Have some fun while we're at it. So that's what really gets me is a lot of the historical aspect and being able to own stuff like this, which is a piece of history, even though it is something as as recent as the 80s. 80s is one of the best decades, by the way, ever. I'm a huge fan of the 80s, but yeah, I mean, this is just the whole package that you can do with this. The P6 holsters and other leather products and things like that, all original parts and stuff, are still available. They're not as available as they used to be, but they're out there for sure. So yeah, what else can I say about this gun? I mean, it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. It's got that OG SIG feel to it, and while not the most practical piece, it looks great. It shoots great. The historical precedent is really, really cool for me. I can definitely fill up the whole German officer role, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So if you feel the need for a very nice single stack 9mm, this is definitely one you can check out. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that, and we'll catch y'all next time.